Well, good evening, guys, and welcome back to Watches and Wheels YouTube channel. Usually, my 38 subscribers or 39 subscribers, however many we have, since we really just started out a few months ago, it's all been about Dodge Polaris and Toyotas, but for the most part, Dodge Polaris. Anyway, so we are going to do something a little bit different tonight. We're going to talk about the Citizen Speedy. Now, for those of you in the know, Citizen Speedy is one of Citizen's most famous vintage chronographs that they ever made. And it is the reason for my season, because if you guys do not know, I go by the handle 31 Joules. Now, 31 Joules is what I was using in the Watch You Seek forums, and if you are familiar with Watch You Seek forums, you will know that I published a lot of content there for the Citizen 8110A, which is a chronograph made in the 70s by Citizen. Now, Citizen used the 8110A in a variety of chronographs, and if you're like the guy when you were a kid who wanted to collect them all, you can. Some of the models are very hard to find, believe me when I say that. But the watch that put me on the map in the world is the Citizen Speedy. Now, that model number of that watch is 67-9313. And it is perhaps, I would say, one of Citizen's most famous chronographs, and you have to thank me for that. Now, Gail always tells me, Brian, you're too humble. You should brag more. You should talk about your cars. You should talk about your stuff. Well, I'm just not like that. But she keeps pushing me to make videos about watches. Now, we just started an Instagram not that long ago, and we started a Facebook page. Watches and Wheels has a Facebook page. And of all the pictures that we published so far on the Instagram page and the Facebook page, the one that got the most views, over 1,000 in a few days, which shocked us, happens to be a Citizen Speedy. So tonight I'm going to talk about the Citizen Speedy, and when I'm done, I'm going to flip that camera around. I'm going to take you to my studio, and I'm going to show you one of my 4 examples that I have here on the bench tonight. I have 4 personal in my collection. Now, I've got 2 black and 2 white. Probably, I would say, the most popular currently is the white dial. I'm getting between 5 to 10 emails a month from people around the world trying to buy these. Now, the black ones are a little more common. I think the black ones at some point were a lot more sought after. But the guys that are collecting these things now are now trying to buy them both. Collect them all. Not only are you going to collect them all, but you are going to want to have a white dial and a black dial. Now, if you have read my work in the past, and you can Google it, you can literally Google Brian Leiser, Citizen 8110A, the Speedy, and it will take you to Sweephand's blog. Now, Sweephand, Mr. Stephen Netherwood, he is probably, without question, the man who has the most unbelievably awesomest content you can find on Vintage Citizen. So if you are a Citizen watch guy, you probably already know, and I believe at this point the man's probably nearing 1 million views. But many, many years ago, back in 2013, I had started to publish Citizen Speedy restorations in service on his website, which he doesn't have a YouTube channel, he just has this website. And it's pretty famous, and it's really excellent place to go if you want to, look at content and see what vintage Citizens are out there in the world. But anyway, so I have been taking customers from around the world. They've come from every continent. I've done, at least for Sweephand's blog, I'll just say Steven's blog, I have done at least 30 of these things, and I still have a bunch from here at the shop, and they come in at least a couple a month to get restored and to get serviced and overhauled by me. And it is really the watch that put me on the map. Now, it is not the one that got me into becoming how I became a watchmaker. I can do another video on that at another time. But because our Facebook, Instagram views has gone up over 1,000 just for this watch, I felt it would be a good time to showcase some of the ones in my collection. Now, as we move along in the channel, as we pick up subscribers, and I'm hopefully that if you're not a subscriber, you will hit that button and ring that bell, I'm going to publish a whole heck of a lot of watch content. I've got hundreds and hundreds of watches to show you. I've got at least 30,000 pictures in my hard drive of watch jobs that I've done. I don't have them in my hand, but starting at this point, I plan on putting the videos of these watches so you can see them on YouTube when we go into my studio. But anyway, so the Citizen Speedy is quite fond to me, and it has literally launched my career to the point where I was able to retire from being an auto mechanic for almost 25 years, well, damn near 25 years, and then I can do this job full time now, and it offers me the ability to come and go as I please, and you know, I'm not having to work for anybody anymore. Now I'm working for myself. So the Speedies that I'm going to show you tonight, I'm only going to show you one. That's the one I'm wearing on my wrist because that is the most recent one I have done. And along the way, I'm going to go back in my archives and I'll dig out some pictures and drop them in the video so that you can see what this watch looks like when I bought it, all the things I had to do to get it back in working order, and try to find some way to make watch videos interesting, because truthfully I've never looked at YouTube videos for watch stuff. I know there are people that become very successful. A lot of guys do a lot of work with getting cameras and macro cameras down here, and they're going to take them apart and show you all that stuff I'm going to do. To me, that's I probably won't go down that route because I don't want to be like everybody else. My way of doing it is kind of more simple, where I will just photograph the job like I do for my customers, and like how I publish stuff in the Watch Seek forums, which I probably won't publish there anymore. I'm moving my whole party over to YouTube now. And I'm going to keep a real simple format of commentary and picture dropping, and then I'll flash between that into the watch stuff and show you the watch live as I hold it in my hand, because that camera does a pretty darn good job of capturing some very good quality. So with that said, I am now going to turn my attention, and we are going to take this Speedy and we're going to go over into my studio and we're going to have a look at it a little bit better look at it. So we'll see you there in a second.
Alright, well, welcome to my studio here, which is just a white cloth on top of my computer desk with two types of lights. I'm using a antique light to my left, and I'm using a fluorescent light to my right. Try to give you a real good, nice, pretty view of what this watch looks like. And like I was saying, this is a watch that was a parts watch. I think I have this thing 5-6 years, and I had been taking parts off of it to sell to customers. When I started out, this watch was just no crystal, no gasket. The date window was missing out of it. The movement was all messed up. Hands were missing. Most of that stuff was, messed up. The dial was in pretty decent shape though, which for a white dial is, not bad, because finding these dials in real nice condition is really hard to find. Anyway, so this is a watch that I had actually built back in 2019, and after parting it out, I realized that it was time to make it, make a watch out of it, make it nice. Now, for the most part, the bezel, the case, the pushers, the crown are all original to the watch. It's just that it was missing pieces, so it's not exactly what you'd call pedigree, meaning that everything was built at the Citizen factory and it's original, like say that example, which I'm not going to show you because you'll have to come back and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and come back when I post more Speedy stuff here. But anyway, so the movement had all kinds of broken pivots, and it was just, I've been parting out movement parts out of it, and I realized that it was time. I had to save it. So first thing I did with this watch was I had taken the movement apart, went through the whole thing, and had a bent reset spring in it, and pivots were broken off, and just the basket case thrown in a case. It was just, junk for the most part. But overall, the thing was in pretty decent shape. I mean, it'd never been restored, which I like. I like watches, even though they're not pretty. Everything matched, and everything, was not restored. So it's not exactly the most pristine example, but it's pretty nice nonetheless. So what I done is I had re-loomed the dial, so all the loom was restored. I had restored all the hour markers and restored the hands. So on the Speedy, white dial Speedies, he has a little black tip on the hour recorder and the minute recorder, And then the hands are done in black. I use flat black because you got to try to patina it and make it look like, it's original. That's part of the game with doing watch restorations. Is the idea is that you want to do it to the best of your ability so that you can't tell it had been restored. You don't want to get overly crazy with glosses. I'll try to use more like flats to do it, and then use vintage loom so that the watch looks actually like it had never been restored. And actually it's a pretty damn nice looking Speedy for the most part, as far as those things are concerned. Now, one of the other problems I've had over the years is finding crystal gaskets. Finding a crystal gasket is impossible. Pushers, most pieces for these you can't even buy anymore. So I ended up trying something different. Now, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm just going to show this one to you for a second, but this Speedy, you can see it has a crystal gasket. Now, if you don't have that gasket, you're not going to be able to put a spec crystal back in. It just won't work. You can't just put a crystal in there. You need the gasket. Well, what do you do in a circumstance where you don't have that gasket? In this particular case, I had actually sold a gasket and the crystal for this watch to a customer who needed one, and I have no gasket, no crystal. So I tried to do something different this time with this watch. What I did was I got a dome glass magnifier and I spec'd it so that it wouldn't need a gasket. And then what I did was I pressed it into the bezel so that now it's kind of like an Omega Speedmaster, where instead of, it's not sapphire, it's hardened glass, but it makes a really neat effect. It kind of like magnifies the dial. It just looks really, really cool. I had done this idea on a Speedy Mon, which you can't see the Speedy Mon now, but we'll come back to that a little later on, what a Speedy Mon is. So that's pretty much what I've got. It's 18mm lug width. I was able to find these on eBay years ago. They're kind of like, I guess, a copy of a Rolex oyster bracelet. They're very nice quality for the price. I can't complain. I'm more of a stainless guy than I am straps. I'm not big into straps, but when you go to the back of the watch, there's some things to note here, in case you're not familiar with Citizens at all. But if you look down here, there's a 67-9313. Now that is the model number. So Citizen uses these numbers, the very last line, as their model number, so that's how you can tell. And you need to make sure if you buy one of these that you get that case back correctly, because if you get parts that aren't matching, well, like old Mopars, the numbers matching, it's got to match. And then if you look up here, there's another long row of numbers. Now if you look, the very first digit is a 6, and that tells you it was made in 1976. And then if you look over here to next to the 6, there's a 12. That is the month it was produced or made, December 1976. And then the rest of those are serial numbers. Then if you look up here, that's a case number. Now what this number is used for is when you're buying case parts. Say you're buying pushers or parts for the case. That's not movement stuff. That's just crowns, stems, pushers, things of that sort. But overall, it turned out quite nice. Timed out quite beautifully. These are why I've spent so much time investing into the 8110A, was because I specialize in these movements. So I could take them apart in my sleep and put them back together. I've probably done more than 250 of these over the years, so I'm very good at doing it. I am the master, I would say, in the world. I know there are probably guys that do them, but if you want to know, when you're typing in Citizen 8110A, well, Brian Leiser's going to pop up, and I'm the guy. So, when you were watching, looking for stuff like this on the internet, you'd find me in the forums, but you could never get an actual video of what the watch looked like. It was always in pictures. And the blessing of YouTube is that now I get the opportunity to showcase my work, and I will showcase customer jobs along the way. Because this is really technically my first watch video. So, Another little interesting neat thing is that Citizen actually made a little metal logo. If you look there, that little logo is actually made out of metal. How cool is that, huh? Nothing like vintage watches compared to modern day watches. I tell you what, in the last, let's say, 2 years, I only ever bought 2 brand new watches. They're Chinese, and you know my feelings about Chinese watches, but we'll get to those at another time. So how about that, huh? Real nice. Real nice. And they're popular. Usually when these come up for sale on eBay, when they do, there's usually 50 to 55, 60 watchers every time. So, how about that? Real nice. And Julie Lou's in heat now. I hear her yowling down in the basement, so hopefully she's not, you can't hear her on the video, but I had to put Julie Lou in the basement because every time she's in heat, she wants to sit in my lap. So, there you are, guys. That's the Citizen 8110A Speedy. So I hope you enjoyed the video tonight, and if you have, I would appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell, and then you get to watch the videos that I publish right away. So have a good night.